This is my lovely wife and business partner. And we have our sons Joe and Sam here on the technical crew. We are coming to you from our basement studio.
The den.
But we're glad to be able to come here and share some ideas, some thoughts, some inspiration with you. We would love to hear what you're doing. What's working now for you? So this is an opportunity for you to ask us questions, for you to share what's working now with your fellow retailers. This is an open forum. So, Susan, do we have any questions so far, or who are we saying hello to so far? Oh, I'm way ahead of it.
We're just starting, honey. So why don't you just chit chat with the folks out there, and I'll let you know in a minute.
I will chit chat for a little while. So we're here in Michigan, and this morning at 12:01 a.m. Everybody in the state of Michigan has a shelter-at-home order. This is happening all over the country, and by all indications, and I am not a professional health or a public health professional, but by all indications, this trend towards shelter at home is going to continue, and the need for social distancing is going to continue. And of course, I don't need to tell you that this is going to have a profound impact on everyone's business. I had a phone call this afternoon or about an hour ago with my travel agent. And, she is her business is being decimated. Of course, the travel industry is being decimated. These are unprecedented times. But that is also why it is so important that we all come together. And I would like to just share.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all in this together. So, one of the strategies that we've been talking about in the Coronavirus and Independent Retailer podcast that is happening 5 days a week here on our page, and then broadcast on all the major podcast platforms, is this need to understand that there is an end to this. And then basically, we need to be prepared. We need to plan. We need to think ahead. But really, it's day by day. And rather than panic but there is a natural tendency to get sucked into the vortex of stress and uncertainty. And what needs to happen is we need to be clear-eyed. We need to make good decisions based on good information, not make panicked decisions. So Susan and I and the entire team at Whiz Bang Retail Training, we are doing everything we can to keep you abreast of developments, to share with you the strategies that we see are working, to give you a forum to share your ideas, to share your insecurities, your stresses, and find support. And so let me just, before Susan starts talking about who's here, let's talk about the resources that are available to you through Whiz Bang Retail Training right now.
Great idea.
Every Tuesday, 1 o'clock here, right? For as long as we need to do it, which will hopefully be mercifully short, we'll be coming to you from the basement.
Den.
The den. With our incredibly competent crew of Joe and Sam Nagin. So 2 o'clock, this is a community forum. This is your opportunity to ask us questions, to share your best practices, to look for ideas and to look for inspiration and find support. Every weekday morning, we're doing the podcast. Again, if you come here to this Facebook page, it is being recorded every morning at 9:30. It also, there's the Whiz Bang Retailers community group. So there is a community of independent retailers called Whiz Bang Retailers. It is a closed group, but if you are a retailer, or the success or the survival of independent retailers is part of your passion and your mission, whether you're a vendor or a rep or a trade association, executive, by all means, we would love to have you be part of that community. It's called Whiz Bang Retailers. Our tip of the week, every Monday and Wednesday, we send out information. We love social media, but we're going to talk about it later on this afternoon. Email is still a better way for us to ensure that you get the information you need. So if you are not subscribed to our tip of the week, by all means, I would love to encourage you to go to whizbangtraining.com, and in the primary navigation, you'll see free tips, and you will get a written tip every Wednesday. We are at number what? What number are we at?
Like 890,
yeah, almost,
or something
almost like that. 900 weekly tips. But you will also get on Mondays, you will get a new episode of Real Retail TV, which is our video blog. So we're also doing interviews. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed.
Rich Rose is on the.
Oh, great. So much is happening on the Whiz Bang Retailers page. There is it's almost overwhelming. It's great, and I love and I encourage the interaction, but it can be a bit overwhelming. So we have taken all of the resources that we've created for you and put them on one page. And that page, if you go to whizbangtraining.com/coronavirus, there you will find every episode of the podcast, every episode of these community forums, there's been 2 interviews that we've done so far. One is with Rich Rose on cash flow and capital. Great interview. I referenced it this morning in the podcast. If you haven't listened to it, you owe it to yourself to listen to that interview. Another interview with Maureen Doran, who talks about on clienteling. I have an interview lined up for tomorrow afternoon with Eric Seifert, who is an expert in SBA lending. So we're gonna get into the weeds on what's happening with SBA lending. So it's all there. So if you just want information, you want to sort of take a deep breath and get away from all the stuff and just get the information, go there. So
I put the links both to Whiz Bang Retailers Facebook group and also the page Whiz Bang Training /coronavirus, which is our binge watch page.
That's our binge watch. You
can binge watch all of the stuff we've been doing.
If you're not sick of me now, you'll be sick of me by then. So great. All right. So who do we have? Who should we say hello to, Susan?
Oh, we've got a lot of people on the line. We've got Lisa from Lauren Ray Jewelry in Naperville. She says, thanks for keeping me sane.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Anne from Boston. Danielle from Ohio. We have Mickey Sampson.
From Pennsylvania.
Lots and lots of folks on right now. So if any of you guys have questions that you want us to answer, situations that you want us to tackle, if you've got an idea about what's working now, please.
We love to hear what's working now. What's working now is a super powerful way to draw out the best in people. It's something that we spend a lot of time with in our Platinum Mastermind group. We used to solve problems, and we still solve problems, but what we realized was that when you have a group of really smart people all coming together and sharing their best ideas, wow, magic really happens. So what's working now could be doing something that you're doing online. It could be social selling. It could be something. It could absolutely be something that you're doing to keep yourself sane, to sleep better. So we would love to hear what's working now for you.
We've got the boys from Ascent Cycles in Colorado.
Hello, Clay and Patrick. Good to see you both. I'm glad that you're both here. They're Business Breakthrough Accelerator alumni.
A lot of people asking, when is that SBA interview going to be? Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody wants to know about
Everybody
that.
wants
Absolutely.
to know. Well, and there's 2 dynamics that go into that conversation. So I am interviewing Eric tomorrow at 1. It is not being recorded live. for a myriad of reasons. But
we will get it up as fast as we humanly can.
That is the right answer. It is not happening live like this.
Yep.
But as soon as it is done, our man Nate, our tech guru Nate, will get on it, and we will let you know as soon as possible.
Okay, this is the third time I've had this question now. I'm working on my SB Loan app right now. Should I wait to submit it until after the interview tomorrow?
Oh, I don't know the right answer to that.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I don't know.
And maybe Rich Rose can chime in there too.
Yeah, but I mean, it couldn't hurt to wait, less than 24 hours. So.
Well, and there's so many other dynamics, right? So the bill hasn't passed the Senate yet. So, right now,
we don't know what that's
our government is
like.
in the middle of negotiations. And so are small business people going to be taken care of in this bill? We don't know. What is it going to be, loans or grants? We don't know. I mean, I have some information, but I would rather not share what I do and don't know based on hearsay. Let's
we
just
don't want
wait.
to give you wrong information.
That's right. So, I know that what Eric does is that's one of the things that he does is he helps people with their SBA applications. I also know that he is having a special price to help people with that. I'll let him talk to you about that tomorrow. This is not a pitch for his services, but this is what you know, and I know, and Susan knows. Everything changes day to day. I mean, literally day to day. And that's why overall, our sort of overarching advice is recognize that there's an end, but make it through today. We've talked about this several times on the podcast. Planning is important. One of the pieces of advice that Rich gave in his interview that I reiterated, I gave the shortened version of this morning in the podcast, is understand your costs and then build out an 8-week cash flow scenario. So you have some, not certainty, but you have some information that you can sort of hang your hat on so that you can have a plan. But I'm sure that even Rich would admit that 8 weeks right now who knows what's going to happen at the end of 8 weeks.
Or even 8 days.
Or even 8 days.
Or even 8 hours.
I was just going to say.
We just don't know.
We just don't know. But if we look at this whole process with that perspective, and again, if you've been part of this community, you know that I've shared this story several times, but I have been in the kind of existential crisis that retail is in right now. And when I say existential crisis, it was nothing like a global pandemic, but my business was literally on the ropes. And this actually happened a couple times, but when you when your business is really in jeopardy, what I found was that, that day to day is the attitude that will keep you sane. I shared this a couple days ago. My brother Steve and I at the Mackinac Kite Company, we had a mantra, and that mantra is we are never going to be successful in business if we are not in business. So as long as we open up and make it through the day and make a decision based on the circumstances of that day, we were one day closer to the end. And I think that a lot of you are in that place right now. And I also want to acknowledge that some of you are doing great right now, and I am happy for you. So, okay.
Some people are.
Questions or comments?
A couple. This is an interesting question from Paul at Meyer the Hatter.
Hi, Paul.
And he says, is anyone having success with increasing internet sales right now? Misha Sato, you can chime in on that one for us if you wouldn't mind. And I will just say that in general, yes, most of the clients that we've been talking to who have online presence, they are definitely seeing an uptick in their online sales. And a lot of people are working rapidly to get some sort of online presence, online sales and selling presence going. Most people are seeing an uptick. Now, there's lots of things you can do to increase that, to focus on that. And we can talk about a couple things that I know you want to talk about, phone calling and clienteling. I think one of the things to keep in mind as you're all trying to keep some form of cash flow and revenue, moving through as all of this is happening, is you're gonna have to come at this from multiple angles, and each one of those angles are going to be much smaller than they were, 2 weeks ago.
We call that contraction.
Yeah, but the idea is even if it's just a little bit of trickle from this area and a little bit of trickle from this area and a little bit of trickle from this avenue, is to keep it to, those trickles all add up into a small creek instead of a raging river. At least you've got a small creek of cash coming in, right?
And one of the things that, going back to the Rich Rose interview, the idea of having a plan and being able to engage in accurate thinking. When you sit down and you do that work, when you create the plan that Rich recommend, you're much more, it's much easier to engage in accurate thinking. And you can look at it and you can say, hey, $100 a day makes a lot of difference to me. Or, hey, $100 a day doesn't make that much difference to me. I need to do something else. But,
Rich he just chimed in here. He said, do your cash flow plan based on $0 in sales to see your true burn rate. And then you can see what kind of cash you absolutely need to make that.
Yes, thank you for chiming in there, Rich. So, in one of the things that we're going to talk about probably in the podcast in the next couple days is this idea of, at some level, if you're not doing enough sales, it makes sense to just kind of pause your business, right? Just to say, okay, I'm going to just not think about it for a week and not hustle. I know that our friends the Zeckels are doing that. They just basically said, hey, we're going to do online sales, but we're going to put a pause on it just so we can maintain our mental health. And all of these are decisions that you have to make. I also want to share so we're sharing marketing ideas here. And I love sharing marketing ideas. I love to see them. I chime in anywhere and everywhere I can on Whiz Bang Retailers. But today at 3 o'clock, there is a meeting of the Whiz Bang Marketing Club. And this is going to, usually on the Whiz Bang Marketing Club, we just talk about a promotion or a holiday and build promotions around it. But today we're going to talk about the Whiz Bang Marketing System, a marketing system that we've developed that really was created for you independent retailers. And we're going to, for a lack of a better term, coronavirus it up. So, it's one thing to look at and get ideas. It's another thing to have lots of ideas and to be able to put them into the context and the structure of a system. I think that you get a lot more efficiency from that. So it's only $29 to join the club. You can cancel at any time. But if you're looking, if you're looking to make more money, if you're looking for some strategies to help you really stay with the ball game, I would encourage you to go to. Are you putting the link in there?
I'm going to put the link in right now. Yeah.
And they're all recorded, so if you can't make it at 3 o'clock today, that's fine. You'll be able to catch the recording. There's, I think, 2 months worth of previous episodes on that page. So again, it's only $29. Generally, we're encouraging people to not spend money right now, but I think this would be money incredibly well spent.
Yeah, this is money that's going to make you money.
Right. It's an investment.
It's not, it's an investment, not an expense. Vicky Isaacson has a great question. It's a little tricky, so this is going to test your.
I didn't sleep well last night, Vicky. I'm telling you, you need to catch me at the top of my game, not at the bottom.
That's all right, Vicky. I have the answer for you if Bob does not. Vicky says, any advice on how to approach or follow up with local businesses to invite them to sponsor an annual summer event? It feels insensitive, but the plan was to reach out to them in February. That was put on the back burner. Now it feels inappropriate. What am I going to do?
No, I don't think it's inappropriate at all. I think that, psychologically, all of us, I know Susan and I and everybody, our team at Whiz-Bang Retail Training, I mean, we're all working virtually, and we have a great team. We laugh, we have fun, and all that stuff. But, it's part of the way that we're staying sane is by recognizing there's the end to this. So what I would say is I would say it exactly like you said it. I would say, I hope this doesn't seem insensitive, but this is going to end, and we do need to plan for what happens when this is done. One of the things that we're going to talk about today in the Retail Marketing Club, we're not going to build a plan for the end of this, but we're going to have conversations of what are you doing now that is going to help you? Because when it ends, people are going to have money. People are going to want to get out. They're going to want to support you. So that's how I would handle it. I would go business as usual, but I would acknowledge that it's an awkward situation. What would you say?
Exactly. And the other thing I would say is maybe you just, instead of asking for cash right now, which is probably what you really want, but you may not get, at least ask for the pledge.
Right. Yes.
Ask for the pledge.
Perfect.
I pledge that I'm going to support this thing, in August or whenever it is.
Yes.
So, and I like this idea of really, playing up the idea of, what are we pressing?
Okay.
So
all,
we're trying to tell us what to do.
Not our kids, the production team.
The production team.
Okay, so
is trying to give us messages.
Do I need to push?
But the idea that it's going to be really fun, and you're going to need fun, and everybody's going to need fun when this whole thing is over.
How are we gonna know? Susan will know.
Whenever you guys are ready to be done, press the button. Press the button.
All right.
Are you guys leaving?
No, we're just gonna go be out of the room.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Our production team is abandoning us.
They're not abandoning us.
They're
just getting tired of listening to us.
They're probably going to go play video games or something. Sorry about that. So, but anyway, Vicki, I hope that's helpful. I think it's really about positioning and then maybe asking for the pledge rather than the cash right now.
And also, Vicki, don't spend any money. So you're building this thing and you're asking for pledges, but again, we don't know what's happening. So everything we're doing is kind of built on contingencies, isn't it? So just want you to recognize that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm trying to let's see. Some people are asking. Shelley says, "I'm curious about government loans and grants. I've been hearing so much about using your line of credit for payroll and then getting a grant back." And Shelley, I think we don't know exactly what's happening yet. They have not passed the bill, and at least when as of 30 minutes ago, when we started this.
No, they hadn't.
This thing, they hadn't passed it. Maybe they passed it in the last 30 minutes. We don't know what's inside there. We don't know the specifics. So at least for the U.S. right now, it's kind of wait until that stimulus package gets passed, see what's in there, and then, hopefully then we're going to know a little bit more about that. But right now, it's hard to know. Canada, the same way. I know you guys have been pushing your government to work out some kind of a stimulus deal, or
they're working at it too. Everybody's working at it.
I think the governments are working as hard as they can to create the right deal. Fast deal is not always better than the right deal. We got to get the right deal for everybody, for big businesses, for small businesses, all that stuff. So again, as long as Rich is on the call, here on the forum, Rich, I would love to hear you chime in. If I am saying something that you disagree with, by all means, disagree with me. Please do it respectfully. Dummy bot. No. But here's what I would say. And again, we did this whole thing on cash flow with Rich, which is why I asked him to chime in. Right now, I would not count on a grant. I would make my decisions based on cash now. Yep.
When Rich did this, and by the way, if you have the old Retail Mastery System, the 1.0 with the DVDs and the CDs, I would go back into the financial planning module and listen to those CDs, because in that module, I tell in great detail the story of, our existential crisis, and you may get some comfort from it. But at the name of the game right now is cash, and I would rather have cash in the bank than the promise of or the potential of a grant. So that's just my opinion with that. But that's a great question. And, and I'm going to say something, I said this in the podcast this morning too, and there's no problem with it, people getting on Whiz Bang Retailers and asking, hey, this is what's happening in my state. What do you think? Like, what does shelter at home mean? In every state, it's different. But I'm going to recommend and
Ohio's
suggest.
a little different from Michigan, a little different from Connecticut,
Can
different
I
from
go
California.
Can I go in and ship? Can I do curbside pickup? All of these things. I'm going to strongly recommend that rather than go to Whiz Bang Retailers and ask that question, that you get in touch with your state agencies or your provincial agencies, or talk to your lawyer, because if you ask it on Whiz Bang Retailers, you are getting hearsay, and I would rather see you go to an official source, or at least somebody with some legal background, rather than your neighbor down the street owns a dancewear shop whose cousin owns a record store, and he heard that. It just becomes a game of telephone after a while. So go to a governmental source to get the best answer that you can.
For example, when Michigan put the shelter-in-place order in yesterday at 11 a.m., by noon, up on the michigan.gov website was a PDF of the actual order, the actual emergency order, so that we could go in and look specifically at the different elements. Now, there were some of the elements that were like, well, what does that mean exactly?
Right.
And we're all trying to figure that out as it goes. But there was a lot that was really, really quite specific.
Yes.
So go to your state website.
Thank God liquor stores are considered essential. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But seriously, go to your own state website and see what's up
Yeah,
there.
good. Wonderful. Great questions. Thank you so much. What else do we have, Susan? I'm looking over your shoulder, and she hates it. I'm not supposed to.
You're supposed to be talking to the camera. I'm supposed to be.
See, this is when I do my... So I can...
Stop. So, yeah. So a lot of people are saying some of the things that they're doing that are working. They're feeling the TikTok of aging inventory.
Yes.
Absolutely. One of the things that you can find on our page, whizbangtraining.com/coronavirus, is a great little mini interview with Candace Daniolo from Pet Boss Nation, where she did a short piece on social selling. And it's a fantastic idea. I highly recommend that you go and watch that little piece. It was from last week's community forum. A week ago today, she did that for us. Lots of people have been trying it since they saw her piece on the community forum last week, and it's been fantastic. People have been selling, $2,200 in an hour. They've been selling, $5,000 in the day. And so definitely try social selling.
And I was going to say, and we're going to talk about that in a lot more depth this afternoon in the Retail Marketing Club.
Absolutely.
We're not going to go in and do another lesson on social selling. Candace has that. I mean, it's on that whizbangtraining.com coronavirus page. But we're going to talk about, because there's more to live video than social selling, right? So really, we've sort of identified two different lanes when it comes to live video, and social selling is one lane. The other lane is basically content programming. So we were saying that Clay and Patrick from Ascent Cycling in Colorado Springs are on the call. What is...
Or at least one of them
One of them is. Okay. whichever one of you, hello, if both of you. But, programming, content programming would be things like how to, our favorite trails in the Colorado Springs area. I don't know how much movement, how much restriction there's been on your movement, but, creating content for your customers that entertains them, that inspires them, that distracts them, that gives them information they need. So on the one hand, there's social selling, which we're calling QVC or home shopping network selling. Direct selling, where you're selling a thing, and there's the other part of it, which is just, building that emotional bank account with your customers by giving them great content that makes them feel good about you. So, good.
Yeah, that's good. Sadly, Mickey says liquor stores in Pennsylvania are closed.
I'm sorry.
I think, are you giggling because they're still open in Michigan?
No, I'm giggling because it makes me sound like a lush. Oh, thank God. But,
yeah,
yes.
That's crazy. Carol says...
I have been drinking more than I usually do.
Yeah, Carol, we can all relate. Carol Nystrom says she's been doing lots of Facebook Lives with humorous videos, anything to educate, reduce boredom, engage, and help her customers keep a positive attitude.
That's right. So Carol and John have a woodcraft store in Ohio. And so, Carol, this is a perfect example of content. I don't know whether you and John are allowed in the store, just the two of you, but you could do a Facebook Live and you could actually do a project. You could start a project, and every day you do that, right? So the project is a 5-day project to make I don't know what people make from wood, a bird feeder, a bird house. That's what our boys did in Cub Scouts. But, every day at 1:00, you get on and you'll do that day's part of the lesson. So, for those of you who sell food, if you are a kitchenware store, I saw Chef Michael Simon is now doing Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives, I don't recall which, from his house. He's shelter at home, just cooking with pantry items. He's just bored. He's bored, so he's doing this. And people are bored, so they're watching. Of course, he's Michael Simon. He's a famous chef.
Iron Chef.
We've been watching
Iron
Chef lately. I was trying to come up with the chairman statement,
but I can't remember the thing he says, which means go cook.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the example of content. And let's go back real quickly and sort of go back to a key concept that we're going to just drill home today in the Retail Marketing Club. And it's this idea of value. Again, we are going to come out of this. It is going to end. People will be out on the streets. People will be shopping. People will come back into your store. And what you're trying to do, in addition to survive, in addition to do the best with the circumstances you have, is you're trying to position yourself so when it does end, you have built enormous reservoirs of goodwill. We call it the emotional bank account. But really, what are you doing? You're asking yourself, how can I provide value to my customers? How can I serve my customers? And this kind of content, the more value that you provide now, the more goodwill you're generating, so that when this does end, people are going to remember who's taking care of them.
Yep.
If you're taking care of them, they're going to remember that. And you know how they're going to reward you? They're going to reward you with their money. They're going to talk about you now. When you do content now, people are going to share it with their friends. One of the things we're going to talk about today, in the whole part of the retail marketing system, the very first thing is get new customers. And if you're doing great shows that are fun and interesting or of service or of value, people are going to tell their friends, hey, you need to tune in. If you have a toy store and you do every 4 times a day, you're teaching a particular game or a new game, parents of children who are staying at home are going to start to tune in.
Tune in.
And if they like what they see, if their children like the games, they're going to tell their friends. So it's this whole idea of right now, be of service. Right now, provide tons of value, because it's karma, right? The more you're putting into things now, the more you're going to get from it all when it's done.
Yeah, that's great. Carol says she and John are letting the actual woodworkers do the projects.
Good thinking.
They're just there to ask goofy questions and inject humor, which is
there you
perfect.
go. Perfect.
Which is perfect. That's
wonderful.
That is absolutely fantastic. Hey, let's talk for just a little bit about. Nobody's mentioned it yet, so I think it's kind of interesting. Let's talk a little bit about engaging with our employees, even the ones we may have laid off.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what are you guys doing right now to keep in contact with your employees, keep their morale up, continue engaging with your employees through this, because they're probably just as scared, maybe more scared than you guys are. I know one of the things that we're doing at Whizbang Training is we're doing a 10 a.m. Google Hangout with our entire team. Our entire team is working from home. They're all shelter in place. We've been doing that for a week and a half already. But we've been doing a daily team stand-up at 10 a.m. on Google Hangouts. And it's just, it's such a relief. It's so nice to be able to see their faces and reconnect. And we're a tight group, close, family-like organization. I'm sure you guys are too. And boy, we miss them. So it's really, really important for us to be able to see them every day and talk to them every day and connect every day. So what are you guys doing? I'm wondering what you guys are doing.
So great. And we would love to hear from you. But I also want to say that a lot of you have laid off employees. I mean, most of you have laid off employees. So while you can't we sort of have a mandatory check-in because they're working, right? But if you've laid off somebody, you can't, have a mandatory. You can't expect them to check in with you. I mean, you can't make them. It can't be mandatory. But you can certainly do a voluntary. You can certainly, help them through these hard times also. If you could have a hangout or, do a check-in for all of your laid off employees, be totally clear, it's not mandatory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, tell them what's up. Tell them what you're doing. If you're a Whizbang retailer, I expect you're doing everything you can. I mean, not that I expect it of you, but I expect that you are because of the kind of business person you are. But I expect you're doing everything you can to support your laid off workers in any way that you can. So that means, checking with unemployment, finding out what the rules are, figuring out how you can best serve your employees during these difficult times too. But if they hear from you regularly, if you're telling them and showing them what you're doing, again, this isn't a deposit into the emotional bank account. You're showing leadership when you keep your people involved with the process.
Maybe send them just a little personal handwritten note card.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I was thinking today about who are the local people that are doing, drive-by pickup, like our friend Kelly Larson, who's on the call right now.
Hi,
has
Kelly.
got a drive-through at her ice cream shop, and she also sells candy and fudge. And I don't know, our team might see some caramel corn on their front doorsteps.
I was going to say, that sounded like you were volunteering for something right there.
I've been thinking about sending a little, care package. And
That's what I'm saying, too.
Dropping it off on their doorsteps just because, we love them. We miss them.
So this is what I'm saying. Now, tell me if this is happening to you, too. So before this all happened, I had finally got into a great groove. If you've been part of the community for a while, I was having problems with insomnia. And I got over it. We hired a personal trainer. I was going to personal trainer 3 times a week. We were doing yoga in our office twice a week. I was being super healthy, and everything was everything was going great. I was sleeping well. I had a ton of energy. Everything was wonderful. And this whole thing happened. Now I'm like, oh yeah, caramel corn and some scotch. Sounds like dinner. Right? I mean, I don't know. Is anybody else having this happen where all of your good habits are just going to pot and all your bad habits are are just finding a way to worm their ways back into your lives?
We're all just finding a way to feel
We're
better.
all just, that's exactly right. Can I say something about that also?
Please.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's Patrick or, but they said send him a gift card to a local restaurant.
There you go. Beautiful.
idea.
That's a great idea. Okay, we're doing all right, Sam? All right. So one of the things that I really want to say to you, and I laugh about myself, you know, I'm just trying to be transparent here, is go easy on yourself. You know, if you're not getting all the things done that you hoped to get done, forgive yourself. You know, we're entrepreneurs. We achieve. This is what we do. This is why you're in business for yourself, because you had this dream and you're going out there and you're working hard every day. You're working at it. You get, you know, you're the little train that could, or you're the little train that did, but then all of a sudden the habits and the personality traits that got you here may not serve you as well as they could now that we're here. You know, for some people, stress shuts them down. And if stress shuts you down, an achievement for the day may be doing one little thing, right? Just making some progress. You know, we were talking to a client and stress shuts them down. And she was very proud of herself. She put a sign in the bathroom that said, "Wash your hands, please," right? But it was perfect. It was perfect. One action moved her forward. And, you know, this really is an incremental game. So, again, if you can just do one thing that moves you closer to the end of this pandemic, you're doing great. And then even if you don't do anything, if you need to crawl up in bed with 2 pints of ice creams and a bottle of wine and watch the worst movies on Netflix, and you have to do that for a day to get through the day and get yourself in the place where you can get back up and get at it again, be easy on yourself. This is a time to be gentle with yourself. You don't need to be an overachiever right now. You just need to survive and advance.
Yeah. Shelley says, last night the Cabernet was calling.
Exactly.
Good thing I got my wine club shipment before this all started.
So my brother-in-law gave us a vertical tasting from Pine Ridge, or is it Pine Ridge?
Yeah.
Ridge.
And
And we've been looking at it forever, and there's never been a good opportunity. And Joe and Sam and Susan and I are talking about it. It's like,
I might have to do that vertical tasting one of these nights.
So, you know, I mean, there are so many opportunities for you to find blessings in what is happening right now. You know, I mean, our boys are home, and although they would rather be out in Whitefish, Montana, still working as ski instructors, and while we want that for them. You know, this is a time to be together. This is a time to find family. This is a time to catch up on your reading. This is a time to rest and recover. This is a time, you know, make sure you find grace in what's happening right now, because otherwise it's going to chew you up and spit you out, and we have to be ready for the long haul.
Yeah, I'd love to know, and just post it up in the comments right now. What are the things that you're doing right now to keep yourself on an even keel? Like, what are you guys doing? Like,
Cabernet.
I mean, all right, that's good. Whatever it takes at this moment in time. You know, what are you doing? Have you started a meditation practice? Are you taking more walks with your dog? Are you, like our boys just pulled all the cars out into the driveway and set up a little home gym inside the garage, where they could, you know, lift heavy things. Lift
I
your
haven't
face.
used it as much as I should. So, and you know, and I do want to say, you know, how many people are here? There's 111 people on here. There may be some recovering alcoholics on this call, you know, on this forum. And if that is you, please, I'm not trying to make light of anything. We're just, you know, I just want to just acknowledge that you have struggles too. And, you know, anyway, I just wanted to. Anyway.
Yep. Mary says she's taking dance breaks and cleaning her stockroom.
There you go. Great.
That's good. Charlene,
Yeah.
Riggs, hey Charlene, says what she's finding is that it's day by day. Like some days it's so easy to stay positive and feel like she's going to make it through. And then other days, really hard to keep positive.
Yes. You know, and this is interesting too, because Sarah Harrison, who is one of our coaches, Whizbang certified retail coach and a Platinum Mastermind Group alumni, I saw on her personal page, and I didn't get I mean, I just saw it this morning, didn't get a chance to read it. But she posted a link to an article that said, what is happening right now is grief. And, you know, and it is true, you know, so when you grieve, some days are easier than others, and some days are devastating, and some days show hope. And that's exactly what's happening. We don't know what's happening. And there really is. I mean, I grieve for our business that was 3 weeks ago. You know, as Susan said, our team, I mean, we laugh, we joke, we have a great time. We get shit done. I mean, our culture is amazing. I grieve not having that. I grieve what was happening in our business. But guess what? There's going to be a new, different business at the end of this. And our job at Whizbang Retail Training as entrepreneurs, and your job as entrepreneurs, is to find what is going to be and move yourself towards that thing, right? I mean, your business is going to change. So it's natural that you grieve what you had, but recognize that if you're smart and strong and wise and you're moving forward, that when it's done, you will have something different, but you will probably also have something better.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine that, you know, that better space, but I think that that's true.
Well, and, you know, I'm going to go back to, you know, I've been here before. And, you know, two of our, I mean, I can just think, I know that there's more than that, but I'm thinking of Fabienne and Jean Haller. Both of them had businesses that burned to the ground.
Yeah,
and
their stores had fires.
Their stores had fires, and I mean, literally burned to the ground. They had to start over. And while, you know, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, both of them said, in the long term, it was good for their business, and it was good. It made them better. It made them stronger. You know, you don't want this kind of change, but this kind of change is what makes you better and makes you stronger. In fact, one of the podcast episodes in the next couple is what are the fundamental retail skills that you should focus on, so that, you know, I mean, we're going to start shifting a lot of the podcasts in this into what do we do to position ourselves so when it ends, we're ready to
Ready
rock.
to go.
Yes.
Yeah. Charlene says, my landlord waived rent for April. I'm so grateful.
Yes.
That is excellent.
And so I do want to, you know, I'm not going to go into things here. And Charlene, we're so happy for you there. But Rich talks about that in that interview. I'm going to strongly recommend that everybody who's going through this should listen to that interview. It was top shelf. Rich is our go-to guy when it comes to all matters cash and retail. And although I gave the shortened version on today's podcast, I would encourage you to listen to that whole thing. I mean, he knows what's going on, and it's information that you need.
Kay says that she's starting a gratitude journal. She still has a lot to be thankful for. Journaling. You might want to talk about your journaling
Yes,
practice.
I was just going to say that. You know, last night when I was up in the middle of the night, my head spinning with 1,000 ideas and, you know, doing what you everybody's doing in this whole thing, I was thinking about that. I want to post on Whiz Bang Retailers. In fact, if Aubrey or Paige or somebody is watching this, if you wouldn't mind posting, there's an episode of Real Retail TV where the title of the episode is called My Best Habit. And I was thinking about that last night, and it's interesting because I was going through some old files and I found my very first journal entry.
Really?
It was from 1997, and in those days I was calling them my morning papers. And I still have them. I still have that. So I've been journaling since 1997. And, I would encourage you to watch the entire episode because, since I've been doing it for a long time, I've learned some ins and outs, some things that work for me. But here's essentially what I do and why I think it is important for you to consider doing. Every morning, the first thing I do when I get up is I get a big glass of water and I push the coffee that has been, prepared. So all I have to do is push the button for my coffee to be made, and I journal. And in my morning journal, the main part, the always gets done part, is I express gratitude. And some days I only express gratitude for one or two things. Some days gratitude goes on and on for a couple of pages. But the point there is that I am stopping and I am being proactive about being grateful. And it's a great way to set your day up for success. Then after that, there's, I just write whatever seems relevant at the time. Some days it's nothing. Some days I go on a tear. Something else that I've been doing recently for the last couple of months is every day I do a little visioning. So someday, it's usually only a couple paragraphs, but I put myself someplace in the future, and I talk about, I put myself there and I talk about what has happened. So, for instance, it might be visioning, it's December 31st, 2020. Man, oh man, what a year it's been. This has just been so crazy. And I talk about how we were able to serve you and how when it all ended, everything worked out fine, but I put myself into the future and find a best version of that future. And I found that to be super, super, super inspiring. So that's my morning. And then at night, before I go to sleep, sometimes I never read nonfiction, never read business in bed, because all of a sudden my brain will just be on fire thinking about stuff. I love thinking about business. But
Bob's always got a million ideas.
I got plenty of ideas for you folks. But I write down my wins and appreciations. So I have trained my brain to think about the good things that have happened during the day. And sometimes they're big. Sometimes, great things happen in the business and I can write about it. Sometimes they're small. Like there's been a lot of gratitude and wins around us having family dinners together. But you see what I'm doing is I'm setting my day up for success and I'm ending it. So I'm bookending my days with gratitude and with gratitude. So, I love that statement about being grateful. I just think that it's so important. No matter what happens, we are here in the United States of America, and it could get ugly, but no matter what, you imagine being in the slums of Calcutta or the slums of Lagos, Nigeria, where people are stacked on each other, or you're in a detention camp or a refugee camp. No matter what is happening to us, we have it good. Our problems, our cash flow problems, are what the kids call first world problems. And I know I'm not trying to demean how you're feeling at all, but understanding that in the big scheme of things, our problems are still relatively insignificant. So anyway.
Yeah, Linda has a great idea. She says, this seems like a great opportunity for me to make an art journal devoted to gratitude since I own a paper crafting store.
That would, Great idea.
love it.
I love it. I love it. But
Yeah,
you see,
because everybody is going to be feeling like this. Your customers are feeling like this too.
yes.
So how
And that becomes an opportunity for content, couldn't it? So was it Linda? So
Yeah.
Linda, so imagine this. So I don't know whether you're able to do business right now, whether you do curbside pickup or whether you do delivery, but I'm just going to play out a possible scenario. So you have 3 different good, better, best journals, art journals that you sell. And you say, who is going to take the art gratitude challenge with me? And say, you can use your own journal. You can use any paper that you happen to have in your stash. Or these are the journals that we have for you. If you want them right now, let us know. We'll figure out how to pay for it.
ship them, whatever.
Ship them, whatever. But then every day you come on and you share what you did and let people share what they did. And so then you are building community. And believe me, Linda, if you do something like that, the people who participate in your art gratitude challenge, you don't have to call it a challenge. What would you call it? Something softer than challenge.
She'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out, Linda. But the people who play along with you, when this is done, they're going to be your customers for life. They're going to adore you and what you have done for them in a time of challenge. So
Yeah. She says she's going to do that for her daily 1:30 Facebook Lives.
there you go. Beautiful.
Love it. Great
okay.
idea. Great idea. Cindy Wells says, I'm grieving the loss of a once-in-a-lifetime vacation.
I know. They rented an island.
I know, which sounds stupid, but I'm having a hard time getting past it. Still in belief. My husband has cancer and is in bad shape. We didn't have a family vacation for 12 years. 2 years we booked a private island off of Belize, You should grieve it, Cindy. It's a big loss.
It's a huge loss.
And there are so many losses like that. And you should grieve it, and we're so sorry. And we've been following your struggle with your husband for a long time and continue to hold him close to our hearts. So
It's all okay. All of us are going to have this shit happen to us. And, how you feel is how you feel. We just have to recognize that we're all just going to go through these gamuts of emotion. And Cindy, we're not experiencing anything like you are. And, we never have experienced anything like you are. And you're so brave and we're so proud of you. But, it's all okay. So I'm going to switch back here. Excuse me just a second. I got me a little shook up. This is why mindfulness...
we just love Cindy so. Okay.
Okay. Iron Chef.
Iron Chef. That's why we have to watch Iron Chef at night. Because
I know. Last night we watched this very, very strange movie. The Man Who Killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot. And we're watching it. It got kind of heavy in the middle, and we looked at Sam who picked it out. I was like, why did you pick out this movie? But it turned out to be a good movie. But anyway, I digress. Mindfulness, meditation. Another habit that I was really getting into the groove but sort of has fallen by the wayside is mindfulness and meditation. And I want to thank Deborah Purdy. I don't know if Deborah's on the call right now.
I don't think she's on right
but I want to thank Deborah Purdy, Platinum Mastermind Group alumni, for turning us on to the 10% Happier app. We've been teaching meditation in the Platinum Mastermind Group since the very first meeting.
Yeah.
The very first meeting in New Orleans all those years ago. And some of our alumni, like Bob Zeckel, said he's done 1,500 days in a row now.
we got him in the habit.
And we got him in the habit. And, he's 1,500 days in a row. But We used to use the Calm app, but I'm not making. I guess I am making a recommendation.
Calm is great too.
Calm is great. Headspace
is a great
but
one.
but there's meditation. But what I love about 10% Happier, and that's why I'm sharing this, is what Deborah said. Was she said, "Hey, I've been trying so hard to meditate, but 10% Happier really appealed to the more logical side of me." So what 10% Happier does is there's, in their courses anyway, there's a mindfulness lesson followed by a guided meditation. And for me, as somebody who loves to learn, I just found it so helpful to be able to get that lesson. And the reason that I'm sharing that is as you become more mindful, you become more aware of how you're feeling, and you're more comfortable with how you're feeling. In fact, another
they're actually doing lives every day on YouTube as well, but they have a whole new section on on the coronavirus. I was trying to get the name of it. I've got my app on my phone.
So, but one of the meditations that I absolutely love is Welcome to the Party. And so, especially in times of stress, so you're trying to meditate, and whoever the course instructor was, Oren, has this meditation where you go, welcome to the party. So no matter how you feel, you're trying to meditate. It's not working the way that you're supposed to. You're supposed to be overwhelmed. You become overwhelmed. The operative thing is welcome to the party. How you feel is how you feel. The thoughts that you are experiencing are the thoughts that you are experiencing. And rather than trying to manage them or make them go away, the challenge is to become comfortable with them. And that's what I love about mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness, is rather than just becoming overwhelmed, you're overwhelmed, but you see yourself being overwhelmed and you allow yourself to be overwhelmed, which allows you to manage it better. So in times like this, I absolutely love the 10% Happier app. And the other thing about 10% Happier is they have sleep meditations. And so after lately I have been doing that more than my regular meditations actually, but it's just a great way of, so I journal, I might read some fiction, something light, easy, let my brain sort of shut off, and then do a sleep meditation, because that really does sort of, declutter your brain as you go into sleep.
Mm-hmm. Shelley says, I'm feeling very distracted, hard to focus, I must say. The mindfulness and meditation will help with that a little bit, Shelley. She says, I'm usually a very task, goal-oriented person, missing my customers so much. My store is a very social aspect of my life. Totally get that. We feel the same way. Like we're missing our team, and we're missing the interaction that we usually have with our customers. Try doing a Facebook Live. Get that connection. It's not exactly as great as having them, come in and you being able to give them a hug in the store, but do a Facebook Live, do a Zoom meeting, do a whatever.
I've got something else
too. Do it.
Clienteling. Tell your customers that. Call them up. So there's another interview, again, whizbangtraining.com/coronavirus. There is an interview with Maureen Doran, and Maureen talks about her clienteling program, which is absolutely brilliant. And by the way, that interview with Rich Rose is a must listen to. The interview with Maureen is a must listen to. When it first came out, it was like we sort of gave our Platinum Mastermind group you need to listen to this, and you need to make this standard operating procedure after this, because it's this whole idea of how do you proactively reach out to your customers. And your customers, if you feel that way about your customers, they probably feel that way about you too. And if you called them and just said, hey, I'm missing you like crazy, how are you doing? It may lead to a sale, it may not, but it doesn't make any difference. These are the kinds of gestures that add value. This is how you build the emotional bank account. Great, I'm glad that you shared that. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's it. Shelly says she's been doing Facebook Lives every day to
Good.
connect with her customers.
Okay, so I want to go back and talk about Facebook Lives and this whole concept of doubling down. And of course it depends on your bandwidth and all of these sorts of things. But when we teach marketing, we teach this idea of doubling down. If something works, do more of it. If it works when you're doing more of it, do even more of it. And, our response from Whizbang Retail Training to this coronavirus is an example of doubling down. We saw it coming. We created that original report and the video. And it was incredibly well received, and it was clear that this was going to blow up. So we created these community forums. This is our third one or second one? Third one.
Third one.
And it was incredibly well received. So we started the daily podcast. If it's providing value to your customers, do more of it. When you're providing too much of it, or when they're sick of you, then you can stop. But if you're doing a Facebook Live every day at 1 o'clock and it's well received, you might want to try doing another one at 3, or do one at 3 a couple times a week. But this whole idea of if it's working, do more of it is a really important marketing concept here during this pandemic. And we're going to talk about that some more on our Retail Marketing Club meeting at 3 o'clock today.
Yep. Good. So Shelly says she knows that her customers are missing her too because they tell her every day.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Good.
Okay.
All right, guys. I don't see any more questions. Thanks for sharing everything and your ideas of what things are working and your ideas that you're coming up with, and just we're super excited to be here for you every single week to do this longer community forum. We are going to continue to do our daily 10-15 minute check-ins with you every day. We'll probably try to hit on a different topic every day, give you a little dose of Bob love.
Something like that, yeah.
Right? And so hopefully we'll keep seeing you every day. And
so let's talk about a couple things.
Yeah.
You can go to Anchor FM, and the name of the podcast is Coronavirus in the Independent Retailer Podcast. You can subscribe on your favorite platform. I don't think we've been approved by iTunes yet.
Spotify and
yeah. So anyway, if you want to make sure that you're getting that podcast every day, we're doing it live here on Whizbang Retailers every weekday at 9:30, and then everything goes to that page on our Whizbang training. It's the whizbangtraining.com coronavirus. If you haven't subscribed to our tip of the week, I would strongly encourage you to do that. Go to our website, whizbangtraining.com, and subscribe to the tip of the week. That way you know that you'll get all of the notifications when we do things, like that interview I'm going to do with Eric tomorrow. And finally, in 1 hour is the Retail Marketing Club. Again, it's only $29 to join. You can cancel at any time. I would encourage you to, if you're a member, make sure that you're there so you can ask questions. Or if you're a member who can't make it today, please watch that replay. I know it's going to be incredibly valuable. And if you're not a member yet, now is the time to join. Susan has posted a link. Can you?
Yep.
And anything else that I'm missing?
no, I think that's it.
Okay. All right, everyone. We are always so honored when you give us your time. We're honored by it. I hope you found real value in today. And maybe we'll see you on the podcast in the morning at 9:30.
Yep, and be looking for those special interviews. We've got several of those coming that I think are going to be really great. So
Yes.
yeah,
Good.
great.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you
See you
later.
guys.
Bye.